Welcome to the Science and Discovery program.
Over the past half-century, we have launched around 100 probes into space, more than 20 of which are still actively exploring the cosmos today. At the same time, dozens of radio observatories are continuously monitoring space for any signals. As a result, we've received stunning images from distant stars and galaxies, as well as fascinating environmental sounds from exotic celestial bodies. But there's one major thing we neither hear nor see: any trace of intelligent civilizations truly exploring outer space. This could be explained in two ways. Either we are completely alone in the vast universe, with no other life forms existing within billions of light years, or humanity is about to encounter a highly advanced alien species, and it's hard to predict what the consequences of such an encounter might be. Are you starting to feel anxious? Today, we'll try to figure out which of the many answers to the mystery of the Great Silence might be closest to the truth. What if we are really living a hopeless and lonely interstellar existence? Scientists in the past couldn't accept this idea. They firmly believed that the other planets in our solar system were once densely populated. For instance, nomadic tribes wandered the deserts of Mercury, tropical jungles thrived on Venus, and even a full-fledged civilization built canals on Mars. These were once considered legitimate scientific hypotheses. It wasn't until the 20th century, when we sent probes to nearby planets, that we realized an obvious fact. There's no life at all on these planets. However, recent analysis shows that within our galaxy alone, there could be 300 million to 40 billion Earth-like planets. Such a massive number makes the idea of us being alone in a stellar system seem extremely far-fetched, though not entirely impossible. After all, how many of those planets might truly have all the necessary conditions to make Earth habitable? They might need to remain stable long-term, avoid exploding stars, have enough organic material to form complex molecules, and of course, have surface liquid to form the primordial soup of life. And don't forget, a large moon is also needed to stabilize a planet's chaotic rotation and climate. In this vast universe, it may take thousands of known and unknown factors just to eventually give birth to a small, life-bearing world. Most scientists are reluctant to believe Earth is one of a kind, but since they still can't determine the exact recipe for the origin of life, it may require billions of ingredients. Out there in deep space, there could be countless Earth-like planets outside our galaxy, yet each of them might still be lifeless. But maybe there are other reasons why Earth is so unique. This was the very question that troubled physicist Enrico Fermi in 1950. While having lunch with colleagues at Los Alamos National Laboratory, he stunned everyone with a simple question: where is everybody? He wasn't just referring to life, but to advanced alien civilizations. Now we know that the universe is 2.5 times older than Earth. Despite how primitive it may still seem, this makes the so-called Fermi Paradox even more puzzling. The physicist himself believed that humans might truly be unique as an intelligent species, but he couldn't explain why. However, perhaps someone else could. In the late 1990s, economist Robin Hanson proposed the theory of great filters in evolution. According to this theory, the emergence of primitive cellular life is just the first step and certainly not the hardest. After that, life must evolve into multicellular organisms. Then, they must develop complex brains, become self-aware, create technological civilizations, and finally begin exploring the stars. Earth took about 4 billion years to go through these 5 complex stages. Robin Hanson strongly suspected that this might be a cosmic record. Perhaps on some Earth-like planets, life never evolved beyond bacteria. On others, animals may never have developed properly functioning brains. And on nearby planets, native beings might be content for millions of years, living stylishly, without desiring anything more. So, according to Hanson's theory, humans are likely newborns in the galaxy, surrounded by hundreds or even thousands of nearly undeveloped planets. Although many people still reject the idea of humanity being unique to this extent, his theory perfectly explains the Great Silence and the Fermi Paradox, assuming that our universe is not lacking life due to some entirely unexpected reason. But what if the clue to the Great Silence is not just about the existence of life, but also the very nature of space? Hanson's theory suggests that a civilization, while evolving, must overcome not only immense challenges like the Great Filters, but also avoid catastrophic events like a massive asteroid impact that could wipe out all life, eliminating any chance for intelligence to arise. The most critical aspect of the Great Filter is that we don't know what we'll face or when. However, it doesn't necessarily mean extinction. To solve the mystery of the Great Silence, we need to understand the Great Filter. For any civilization to reach space, they require extraordinary technological breakthroughs and massive resources to build rockets capable of escaping into orbit and then going to the moon. Keep in mind, Earth is relatively small, and its gravity is much weaker than most rocky exoplanets we've discovered. Most of those exoplanets are what we call super-Earths. Even the strongest, most efficient machines might not be able to overcome those planets' intense gravity. Perhaps a highly developed alien civilization from one of these planets could, at best, reach the edge of space, like Jeff Bezos did, but they certainly couldn't build orbital stations for advanced research and further missions. These aliens would have to battle the suffocating gravity of their worlds, which becomes its own massive space filter, preventing them from stepping off their planet into the cosmos. But that's not the only curse they might face. Intelligent alien life might not even live on rocky super-Earths, but rather on ocean planets like these. Some of them are just 100 light-years away and extremely suitable for known forms of life. We've already assigned the James Webb Space Telescope to observe them closely. But if you ask me, that telescope won't find much. It certainly won't spot any rocket launches. Because if the intelligent species are aquatic, like sentient octopuses, they would first have to exit the ocean and build experimental submarines. That alone is complex enough. But to reach orbit, they would need something like rocket engines, a nearly hopeless challenge for these aliens. Not to mention, most known ocean planets are covered in thick ice crusts that completely isolate them from outer space. Quite literally, they are like real filters. Even assumptions about other distant galaxies can barely penetrate that ice. Perhaps these aliens never even attempt to break through the ice. They may forever believe that their ocean is the beginning and end of the universe. But even if we Earthlings are exceptionally lucky, that doesn't mean we're destined to expand throughout space. In 2022, NASA published a study that examined the medical data of 14 astronauts who had flown space shuttle missions. All their samples showed dangerous mutations in the blood-producing stem cells. Despite spending just a few days in space, cosmic radiation doesn't take long to seriously damage health. As for astronauts, who stayed on the International Space Station for months, they faced high risks of receiving enormous radiation doses, equivalent to 6,000 medical X-rays. And this was while still relatively close to Earth. NASA has poured massive funding into radiation shielding technology to protect future astronauts, but so far with little success. Extended time in space can cause cancer and premature death. But wait, if we want to colonize other planets, we'll also need to reproduce there, not just survive. Unfortunately, even on Mars, a human fetus would be a prime target for cosmic radiation. Given that, we are left with one of the most depressing explanations for the Fermi Paradox and the Great Silence. No civilization can survive outside its native environment. That's why any space settlement is doomed to fail. And even if we do find ways to cope with this and manage to colonize our solar system, how would we deal with the vast interstellar distances? Our fastest spacecraft today would take 18,000 years to reach Alpha Centauri, just 4.3 light-years away. That means leaving a noticeable human mark across the Milky Way would take hundreds of millions of years. If we had spacecraft that could reach at least half the speed of light, we'd be much faster. But then again, the Great Silence implies no one has ever succeeded in building such ships or crossing the starry abyss. So what does this mean now? We may never see or meet any other beings living in habitable space. There is only one way to escape this despair and loneliness: solve the mystery of the Great Silence and the Fermi Paradox with a new approach. But I doubt you'll like this one. What if aliens are actually everywhere and they just ignore our existence, completely unaware of us? The James Webb Space Telescope has aimed its ultra-sensitive mirrors and infrared sensors at the most promising exoplanets those located in the habitable zones around other stars, where water could exist in liquid form like on Earth. The telescope is scanning their atmospheres for biosignatures, specifically water, ammonia, and methane molecules, which cannot be produced by natural processes. The truly exciting part would be discovering chlorophyll-like compounds found in Earth's plants and amino acids similar to those in our DNA. If high concentrations of carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide are found, it would be a jackpot in the search for alien life. These compounds, seen as technosignatures, could indicate the presence of real civilizations, just like humans in the 20th century. But I bet you've already spotted the problem, right? We're searching for signs that resemble ourselves, while ignoring the possibility that other forms of life might be entirely different from us. More importantly, highly advanced life forms might be deliberately ignoring us. Remember those intelligent octopuses from ocean planets? They may never find a way into space, but perhaps their scientists manage to pierce through the ice and launch a powerful telescope. Since these beings live in darkness, their observatories might also detect infrared light, just like the James Webb Space Telescope. But if they pointed it at Earth, you'll find this is a world both strange and dangerous. Our planet is too close to its star for water to exist in the state natural to some alien life. It remains in solid form for long periods. Without the protective shell of ice, the ocean would be boiled by the star and eventually evaporate into the atmosphere. For certain alien creatures from other star systems, such an environment would be nothing short of hell. Of course, from the standards of intelligent octopus-like beings, Earth's waters may not even contain a high enough concentration of dissolved metals, something that could serve as a technological indicator, perhaps signaling the presence of an advanced industrial civilization. But if these creatures at least have machines and notice our cities on land, then those life forms originating from ultra-hot exoplanets might never even consider looking for intelligent life on a cold, rocky planet like Earth. In short, these two types of civilizations might prefer to focus their attention on Europa or the scorching hot Mercury in their search for traces of life. And when they find nothing there, they will become even more baffled by the Great Silence. If we turn our perspective back to humanity's own progress in space exploration, this hypothesis, while frustrating, also seems rather realistic. Even if some extraterrestrials are extremely advanced and fundamentally not so different from us, our Earth and solar system might be overlooked for some rather simple, practical reasons. This is a point emphasized by two American scientists, Jacob Hock-Misra and Thomas Fauches, in an article they published in November 2022. They envisioned a society so advanced it has systematically explored the galaxy over millions of years, yet has consistently avoided our solar system. Why? Our sun is an orange G-type star with a lifespan of no more than 10 billion years. That may be an unimaginably long time for humans, but for civilizations with ambitions beyond the stars, it's much too short. Smaller K-type yellow dwarfs can maintain stable heat and light for up to 70 billion years, and tiny M-type red dwarfs can live for as long as 10 trillion years. Therefore, for a civilization hoping to survive stably for billions of years, they would more likely prioritize investing in exploring these longer-lived star systems instead of wasting resources on a short-lived star like our sun. This could explain why we don't see them. They're colonizing stars so dim that unless we know exactly where to look, we'll never notice. Sounds reasonable. But there's a problem. Simulations show that it would only take a few million years for such a civilization to reach even our neighbors, like Proxima Centauri. It's impossible for us to have completely missed something so major. As a result, most scientists conclude that there are simply no highly advanced alien civilizations in the Milky Way. However, futurist John Smart is unwilling to rule out that possibility and has proposed a far more intriguing way to solve the Fermi Paradox and the mystery of the Great Silence. According to him, we shouldn't be looking for civilizations on other exoplanets anymore. We should turn our gaze to the massive black holes. It might sound like science fiction, but there's a scientific basis to this approach. At a conference, Smart introduced the transcension hypothesis, where, like in the movie Transcendence, the main character uploads his consciousness into a computer-like system. He believes that once a civilization develops similar technology, it is unlikely to continue pouring vast resources into dangerous space colonization or transforming other planets for survival. Instead, they would more likely migrate into a peaceful virtual reality, immersing themselves in it, fulfilling their digital needs for billions of years to come. To support this virtual world, they would need a supercomputer of astronomical scale. And when such a design is finally optimized, Smart claims that machine would essentially be indistinguishable from a black hole. Who knows? Perhaps the mysterious black hole astronomers captured in 2019 in the Messier 87 galaxy is actually such an alien supercomputer. And right now, aliens hidden inside might be using it to simulate the entire universe, including us. They may not care about us at all, nor about any of our efforts. In that case, I truly hope some of the earlier explanations are correct, because the possibilities that follow might actually keep you up at night. What if aliens are closer than we ever imagined, so close it's hard to believe, but have simply remained invisible all this time? In 1966, astrophysicists Joseph Shklovsky and Carl Sagan proposed a hypothesis that shocked the scientific community. Aliens may have already contacted humanity, but because these encounters occurred in the distant past, we can only glimpse faint traces of them in the mysterious images and strange artifacts of the ancient world. Adding to that, legends of mysterious beings from the stars bringing knowledge and technology exist across different cultures worldwide. Shklovsky and Sagan developed a scientifically grounded theory of paleocontact. But this theory was quickly hijacked by pseudoscientists like Erich von Däniken, who portrayed ancient aliens as religious deities, leading the idea into controversy. Still, who's to say it isn't true? Perhaps this kind of paleocontact not only explains Earth's uniqueness, but also doesn't contradict the hypothesis of civilization exploring the galaxy for ages. But if they really came thousands of years ago, where are they now? One possible answer. After first contact with humans, we weren't invited to join some galactic federation. We were placed in a space zoo. Perhaps these highly intelligent aliens are quietly observing our primitive civilization. Their motives might range from scientific curiosity to simple boredom, or even concern over the potential threat we might one day pose. Considering another inference from Robin Hansen, the theorist behind the Great Filter, that last motive might be especially significant. Hansen and colleagues calculated that expanding through the stars at even half the speed of light is technologically feasible. In just a few billion years, a greedy alien civilization could occupy nearly all habitable regions of the universe, leaving nowhere for us to run. We don't even need to imagine spacesuits or other high-tech gear to explain why we haven't noticed them yet. Hansen offers two explanations. First, their expansion may have only just begun, and we haven't yet detected it. After all, the center of the galaxy is 26,000 light-years away. What we see is how it looked during the age of prehistoric humans. The second explanation is even more disturbing. Their expansion is occurring at near light speed, and we have no time to react. Once they approach, we may be wiped out without warning. These invaders might arrive tomorrow, or 1,000,000 years from now. Their fleet might not be massive colonization ships, but swarms of microdrones, programmed to consume every metal-rich rocky planet in their path, replicate themselves, and continue spreading infinite recursion. It sounds like horror sci-fi, but it's actually a real concept proposed in 2013 by scientists Stuart Armstrong and Anders Sandberg, exploring how to efficiently expand a civilization's influence through space. Thanks to their work now, of course, we can live in peace without anxiously staring at the sky each night for swarms of predatory drones. But humanity might still have a slim chance to stop their invasion, and that perhaps is the ultimate and most terrifying explanation for the Great Silence and the Fermi Paradox. If it's true, we have no chance of survival. But you know what? This might be entirely our own fault. Over the past 100 years, we've sent countless radio signals into space, which have now reached about 15,000 star systems. Our list of listeners is growing by the year. Among those transmissions, we've clearly described how to locate Earth, shown what we look like, included our DNA structure, and even attached a map of Earth. Stephen Hawking and other scientists have criticized this as too risky. Because if an advanced civilization receives these signals, their first reaction might not be curiosity, but fear. What if this is a trap? To be safe, the best choice might be a preemptive strike. If these aliens also have their own version of the James Webb Telescope, and it's not just used to observe habitable planets, but also equipped with ultra-dimensional weapons, then we've basically handed them the perfect target. In this scenario, the Great Silence doesn't mean the universe is empty. It means we live in a dark forest. Every civilization is a hidden beast, claws at the ready, waiting silently. And we're the foolish prey that snapped a branch at the edge of the woods. Ultimately, even the smartest people today can't say for sure which explanation of the Fermi Paradox is closest to the truth. That's exactly why we must take every theory seriously now. even the craziest, most unbelievable ones. In Robin Hansen's calculations, he rules out the possibility of aliens traveling faster than light. He says that if superluminal travel were possible, the universe would have been filled with new life since before galaxies formed. But if aliens really did build faster-than-light ships, well, congratulations, our journey of exploration is over. Because we may very well be the descendants of ancient aliens who once colonized Earth long ago. Or perhaps our planet is just one of the countless digital simulation scenarios created by some hyper-intelligent alien entity, and the vast empty universe is merely a backdrop for the stage they've built. So, among all these scenarios, which one do you think is most likely to be true?